So for this second part of our mixed figures, we're going to be doing both perimeter and area in two different sections. And everything is going to have a shape where there's a base rectangle. And there's either going to be 1/2 circle added on or 2 half circles added on, like this. Or there may be a 1/2 circle cutout, like this on one side and the other side bumps out, or maybe there's just one of those straight down, or maybe both of them bend in. But they're all going to be some sort of picture that looks like this. So in our first one, we have that rectangle and we have 1/2 circle cut out, and we're finding perimeter here. So perimeter, we know, is add up the sides. So looking around this figure, I have an 11, I have a 4, this is 11 down here as well, and then we have this circle piece. So for a circle perimeter, we call that circumference. And we know that formula is pi times the diameter. Now we've been using 3.14 for pi, and we're going to use a little more exact decimal, 3.1416. That comes a little closer to the actual value of pi. We can't write the whole thing because it's irrational. So we're going to use 3.1416 times the diameter. Okay, so this is our new constant we're going to use. Now, the reason is on Delta Math, rounding matters, and if we use 3.14, there's more of a chance that the rounding doesn't work out quite right because the Delta Math actually uses a pi button on the calculator. So don't have to worry about that, but this is what we're using today. So this is half of our circumference, right? Because we only have half of a circle here. So I'm going to do 1/2, 3.1416, and then the diameter of this circle is the same as this number over here, so that's 4. So I'm just going to put that 4 in my formula. So we're using pi d, but we're only taking half of it because we have half of a circle. So when we write these up to add, I'm just going to go around the figure. I have an 11, I have a 4, I have another 11, and then I have half of 3.1416 times 4. So I can just type that whole thing in, and I'm going to do it one more step, but you can just type it in. This is 26. This over here equals 6.2832. If I add these two together, that's going to give me 32.2832. So on Delta Math, you have to round to the nearest tenths place for all these. So this is my tenths place. It's the one right after the decimal point. I need to look at the one next to it. That's bigger than a 5, right? So this is going to round up to 32.3. Now, units-wise, it doesn't tell me what it's measured in. In Delta Math, you don't have to type in the units. So this is my final answer. So we're going to look at one more of those. So here's our rectangle with 2 circles on the outside. So down here, for perimeter again, there's an 11 down here. And here we have half of a circle. So we're going to do that 1/2. We're using the 3.1416 for pi, and then the diameter is 8. Over here, this is exactly the same size. So we have 1/2 3.1416 times 8. And since we're doing perimeter, we're going to add all these up together. So I have an 11, I have another 11, one on the top, one on the bottom, and then I have a 1/2 3.1416 times 8, and another one. If you want to get fancy, the halves would cancel, and we could just write this once, but we're not worrying about that because we're trying to keep it super straightforward. So if I type this whole thing in, I'm going to treat this one that way, where I'm just going to type the whole thing in my calculator, and there's a nice calculator in Delta Math, you can do that. You would get 47.1328. Rounding to the nearest tenths, Here's that tens place next to the decimal. Look at the number next to it. This one is smaller than 5, so it's going to stay at 47.1 units. We don't have to write the units there because it doesn't say anything on Delta Math.